The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another exciting edition of the Power Trading Hour with me, your humble, lovable, squeezably soft host. Once more into the breach, dear friends, do we go. And a very quiet Thursday for expiration tomorrow. Volume is much lighter than the last few days. Of course, every day at this time that the market's trading, me and you meet, and I appreciate you. And maybe you could tell a friend about TFNN and maybe me. But we always meet at this time.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
Almost all the time. In the meantime, we're up, half a point on the S&P cash, volume 2.35 billion shares on the New York Consolidated Tape. And I don't know if you can say a lot more than that. There's a few stocks that kind of moved out here. The action has been short and sweet. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's get to a little history early today.
Then it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
It is history repeating. And on this day, actually in I don't know why I got 18 there, 1956, engineers from Ampex Corporation, including a very young Ray Dolby, records a speech by a CBS executive and plays it at the National Association of Broadcasters. This is a convention I went to for, 13 years straight, something like that. It's the first workable videotape, and it has the ability to see live TV 5 minutes after it's been played. Man, the rewind on that must have been poor. Roaring with cheers and applause, 250 attendees throng the podium. In the days I went there, most of the time there were 20 to 30,000 people, crushing the Ampex engineers against the TV monitor and besieging them with orders for the new device. Probably the most interesting thing is Ampex at that meeting was at its price peak. The company never capitalized on its first mover advantage, letting U.S. rivals in Japan push it aside within a number of years. And that's about it. So just because you're first doesn't mean that you continue on. They had an old idea about the way that business and television was run. And those new, young, fangled folks over there at Sony had a much different idea. But you still, in fact, when I was going into TV studios, you would still see these 1-inch tape machines still hanging around because, of course, occasionally they'd have to go back to some piece of tape that happened 50 years ago or 40 years ago. And they were still keeping down there in the refrigerated vault these old 1-inch tapes, never transferred them over to anything new, but kind of interesting. Other things that happened, I was looking forward to the BATS IPO today. Thought we'd get a bounce and then maybe a pullback. That did not happen. It's now scheduled for tomorrow if it prices tonight. It failed to price last night. It's really tough to figure out. They're not giving a lot of details on this other than the size, which is not large. But this will be the first IPO, and I suspect come hell or high water, there will be people on the street throwing cash at this market for the first hour or 2 hours tomorrow as this IPO goes through the door. The reason why is the vast amounts of money made by Wall Street shoving these stocks out on people, unsuspecting people in the markets. Of course, BATS tried to go public one more time before, and its service actually blew up on the day that it tried to go public itself. Had problem with Apple and also had a bloody nose from the problems with Facebook when it also had a problem with the NASDAQ. And the CEO lost his job. Everybody got fired. This is their second bite at the apple, so to speak, for them. But not a bad company. I have absolutely no idea what it's worth, so I don't know whatever price that it comes out, if it is good or bad. It's very tough to tell with these companies. That's it about news. It is a very quiet day in Lake Wobegon, and we'll look at a few of these stocks that are moving, and then maybe some of the ones that I wanted to look at later. American Airlines Group. In fact, I think there are several airlines out here that are higher today. Many comments about lower fuel prices stoking the American Airlines company. Is there a sweet spot for the ES options? And the ES options, I don't look at. I do look at the SPYs. And in fact, why don't I do that on the opposite side of the break? I'll just show the SPY chart that I do have for tomorrow. And we'll discuss that. We'll just do that in the next segment. We'll finish up with a couple of these airline stocks in this segment. What do we have here? The American Airlines pop today, 7.5 million shares so far. The gap down happened on 11 million shares, though, where this gap down on the 1st of March. So, it's the 1st of April, excuse me. So we've kind of come back down. We're kind of filling this gap with a lighter volume, but that's kind of the entire market. Other airline stocks of note is Alaska Airlines. This one didn't get near the pop. It's given a great deal back, but this is yet another one that came down with a lot of volume on the 4th with 6.5 million shares. Got into it yesterday with 1.1 million shares today. Let's call it 700,000 shares so far. So fairly light in that. When we get to Delta Airlines, another chart looking at a nice little pop out here for it. Volume closing on 12 million shares right now. If we go back to its gap down on the 1st of April, that was at 14 million shares. So this one may be the strongest one of the bunch, not giving a lot of juice out there. Another one in this sector, of course, is JetBlue. This one actually looking a little bit better. Its gap down happened on March 8th with 14.7 million shares. Tried to come back and fill that gap once, come back down here to the April 12th low at $18.88. It's back up today, though, 5.6 million shares. And again, you need to get into this gap down that had about 14.7 million shares. So can it get back up to 2150? It probably could, but this thing looks like it is in a lower trading range, maybe another day or two higher. And this thing, you got this 1851 from the February 8th low with 12 million shares. My guess, these are in a bigger trading range. Any higher price in crude would be problematic. What else do we have out here? Southwest Airlines, another gap up today, volume a little lighter. This one's into its bar down of the 12th of December on 20 million shares, about 5 million shares so far. We'll look at those we'll look at the options when we do come back.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
We had a question in the den, and of course, you can always post a question in the den, or you can email me at path@tfnn.com and call me at 877-927-6648. Question was, where do options suggest that we will expire tomorrow? And one of the things you should do when you're looking at options curves, of course, is kind of add a fudge factor. If there was no shorts in the market, it probably would be a little bit more accurate. The more equity shorts in a market and or future shorts will probably disguise the true predictive ability of the actual equities a bit. So you need to put those in mind. I normally will add about 20 points to the S&P cash on a average day on expiration. If you've got a lot more shorts or a lot more bearishness out there, which we do have, shorts, equity shorts are elevated, but also futures and others are also fairly short the market. You probably put a little bit more onto the upside of this one. My guess is that this would probably, if we get a pullback tomorrow, it would probably be 20 points or less. But again, my guess is that they hold this market up through when the BATS IPO goes out the door, because they want that gravy train coming back. And of course, it would be one thing if it was their money. But man, Wall Street has so many other people's money, they can do whatever they wish for at least a brief period of time. If they need to run it up, they just, this is the time to be investing, they say. And I remember that when you think of other people's money, for years what they would do would be buy in their own accounts from the actual ETFs and other people's accounts. After earnings would came out, they would actually transfer and buy from one account to the other and post and predate it back into the trading day. I remember that scandal. That had to be like 2002 to 2004, maybe 2001. And of course, a lot of people, I think a few people went to jail for it. But this is very not uncommon, and it's not illegal. And it happens a great deal, especially since there's so much money to be made that they need to get this IPO out. So if I was looking for any kind of fade, I would think you would want to see it probably. My guess is this thing starts pricing or starts trading at 10 or 10:30 tomorrow. Look for about the first 30 minutes or an hour to be stable. If we're going to get any pullback, it would be a pullback after that. So think about probably 11:30 or 12. If we see some kind of high, you might get that pullback in there. I just don't see a great deal of action now that says either higher or lower prices. And in fact, the one position I have, I just sold and going to go to all cash right now. Just a few things just look a little hinky out here, and I would be much happier going into tomorrow all cash and be able to act maybe on some last minute options or even go into the weekend flat. I don't see a whole lot that is very clear at the moment. But those are what options look like. Yeah, that practice in futures market too. Yeah. Other people's money just means it's not theirs yet. That's basically what it amounts to. We looked at Love. What was Save out here? Spirit Airlines, another one that has popped. A little bit of energy, not a lot of volume, not a big signal out there. SkyWest is another one out here in that airline sector. A little pop out here, probably the littlest of the bunch. Other stocks of interest on the downside today, we'll give it the losing horn. And a very well-deserved, I informed you thusly.
I informed you thusly.
Because Seagate is out. We've been talking about this for a long time. We were short, actually, Western Digital in the Tech Insider. There is very little out here to make me think that these companies in 2 or 3 years are not bankrupt, and that is the spinning hard drive companies. Their one chance is to get into the memory business, and of course, that's an even lower margin business than these guys are in already. Most of these companies in the memory business that are doing well have no desire to get in bed with either Western Digital or Seagate. Maybe something comes of it, maybe something doesn't. But my guess is the spinning drive business, which went from about, mid-60s to this year, is probably on the very, very end of its long downslope to obsolescence. So we'll keep an eye on that. What else? Got any emails out here? We are back in action if you are live streaming. Yep, solid state drives are the thing. And guess what? I think the solid state drives only have about a year or two. And then we're going to look at better. The Winchester 3030. We're going to be looking at even a better technology for memory in the coming year. But down heavy volume, my guess is that this thing is going to go test the $26.25 low. Of course, Western Digital down on the bank shot with that one. Energy is not all that bad. At some point, these things are going to find a low. I'm not out here shorting them down here. Why I was shorting Western Digital at $110, not at $30 or $40 or whatever. But this thing is actually even weaker than I thought. I thought this thing was going to be that $50 would be a fairly decent support area. It got down to 38.64 February 11th, and now these things are just going to probably bounce around. But 10 million shares today. The previous low, February 11th on Western Digital, coming at 4.9 million shares. And that's all I got to say about that. United States Steel, of course, we're bigger than U.S. Steel. But I don't know what else you can say about this one. There was some news out there, and I can't remember exactly what it was. Doesn't seem that big of a deal, down a little. See if there's anything else out here that we wanted to look at. Expedia. So it had a little bit of news, a nice little pop for this guy. Let's see if there's anything in this. And not a lot of volume now. Back to a gap that had 2.6 million shares on the 22nd of March. We've got about that volume. That wasn't a high volume gap down. And you're basically just getting back up to the 50% retrace on this stock. I don't know if there's a whole lot else you can say about that. MOS, another one on my list, down a little bit. The Mosaic Company, not a lot of volume on that one either. Let's see what we have out here. When we come back, we'll take a look at Synaptics Corporation. This one did have a nice little pop for the day. But give me a call, 877-927-6648. I think it's a good day to give me a call.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN and you'll find The Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now. Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Directions Daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And Synaptics out with news, and they're giving it a golf clap today, not the loser horn. This last high that really is significant was the March 11th high, 86.59. That had 580,000 shares. You pierced it today with 2.4 million shares, but kind of hanging right back at that high, gave a great deal of it back. When when you kind of look at that a little bit lower, it's got the volume, but your next move higher would be 94.48 in this stock. So there isn't a lot of meat on the bone back up there. But take a look at it. Taiwan Semiconductor, another one gapping down. I'm trying to remember exactly what was the deal on this. Do I have it on my list here? Just the chips all kind of on the downside today. You had Seagate, which is a little bit of that. Taiwan Semiconductor also warned, which is this stock, but it seemed to be kind of a small move to be actually looking at so many of these others that are down in the semiconductor space. But let's take a look at that real quick. We had TSM. And let's look at STM. A few others out here real quick. But not a great deal moving out here today. This is gappy because, of course, it's a ADR, so it's always kind of moving around here. And not that big a move to me. What else do we have out there? Cirrus was off 3%. Let's take a quick look at that and see if they see anything in it, and then we'll wrap up by looking at the stocks. Cirrus Logic, I'm not going to say that there's a great deal in that either today. Light volume, kind of a hanging. Man, maybe these are moving fairly well. Let's take a quick look at Skyworks Solution SKWKS. Why they were moving and down a little earlier in the day, kind of flat out here. Certainly no volume. And that would be at Cypress. Take a quick look at that guy and see if they see anything else. Cypress, it's off a little, but I'm not going to say that volume is very light out there today, too. And, of course, if we look at the SMHs real quick, I think that was the biggest sector move of the day. But, again, it's still in the candle of yesterday, so not a big deal out here. Kind of a little bit of a gap down. Energy yesterday was just about 2 million shares today, 1.4. So maybe we get to that same kind of level. But again, I don't think you can make anything out of these daily charts that makes you think that this is a bigger deal. Valeris Aviation Holdings, this one is trying to get up to its previous high. But again, a very light volume stock. Let's see if there's anything else. Let's take a quick look at Applied Materials. This thing, I've been watching it as it pushes this gap down. That gap came in on, April 27th last year, down with 220 million shares. So a huge gap down. Huge. Absolutely huge. 220 million. First time you tried to get into this was with 12 million shares on the 1st of this month, and today with 12 million shares. Man, this is going to be a tough row because, of course, anybody that was in this stock above those prices is going to be thinking that they hit the lottery if they got their cash back. And when you look at this gap, just look how many people were in this thing, maybe at 25 to 22 before that gap down happened. And that's why this area gets so tough for a lot of these stocks. IDTI, another one off at least earlier out here today. I think that was a kind of wild day on Wednesday or Tuesday. Today, it's down a little bit. Another one of these stocks that looks very tough. I think that was a bad tick yesterday. I'll have to check that out. Of course, this gap down on the 2nd of February with 25.4 million shares. We've been trying to get through to that gap. The first attempt was on the 4th of March. You had about 3.4 million shares. Yesterday, you had 3.6 million shares, so a little bit more volume today, just a whole lot of nothing. And, you get back into that zone, and it is going to be somewhat problematic to ever see those stocks get higher prices. Let's see what else is on. Oh, Microsoft out with news. They are getting on the Apple bandwagon and suing the FBI and Justice Department for forcing them to release all kinds of data and do things. So it looks like Silicon Valley is starting to line up behind Apple on the resisting of being a tool of the federal government to enforce laws instead of reacting to summonses. But I thought that this is, one of the more risky positions right now. I dislike the way this thing came off the February 1st high at 55.09. It came off with considerable energy to 48.19 for February 8th. It's come up on very light volume, except with one day that had kind of a sign of strength. But as we get into that February 1st high, the first time was with 6 million shares, and the last couple of days as we're in those candles, 20 million shares today, and let's call it 13 million so far. Microsoft probably looks like one of the weaker stocks out here in tech. Let's take a quick look at INTC. I dine at CEO's restaurant. Guess where? I don't know where. Oh, it's CEO of Cyprus. I'm following it. Let me check my email. Okay, we got a couple there. I'll try to get to those in the next segment. Intel, I just wanted to see this one. It had a fairly decent retrace. It had a gap down on the 6th of January. That gap down really wasn't a lot of volume to write home, about 25.5 million shares. When we look at the last major high on March 30th, that was 49 million shares. So I'm not going to think that this gap is a whole lot out here. We did have a gap that did have huge volume, and that was on the 15th of January with 76 and change, 76 million and change. It has filled that gap. Probably the biggest volume day that you had was 49 million shares on the 18th of March. So a lot of these I can see as a chartist looking a little susceptible out here. You do have a traditional move in the markets, and that is to hold the market up kind of and sell into it as lightly as you can until the May 1st move. But, you could get another 2 weeks of very narrow movements and a lot of intraday chop as we've had. As we go to the break, let's check back in to Mr. Market. We're off 1 point on the S&P cash. Volume is 2.6 billion shares, so light and variable. And unfortunately, the options are showing that with this may continue into tomorrow also. We'll be back.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
If you're looking to discover a new financial resource and diversify your financial portfolio, consider the new Market Safe Commodity Solutions CD from Everbank. This 5-year U.S. dollar-denominated CD gives you exposure to 8 equally weighted commodities, including WTI crude oil, gold, silver, copper, nickel, soybeans, corn, and sugar, in one powerful CD. With annual pricing caps of 70% per component, you could earn up to 70% upside payment at maturity if the commodities increase in value across annual pricing dates. And should the opposite occur, your principal is 100% protected. Keep in mind, returns are based on CD performance. There is no annual percentage yield or periodic rate of interest on this indexed CD. Don't miss out. Take advantage of this financial resource designed to grow with the times. The April 14th funding deadline is quickly approaching, so hurry over to everbank.com/TFNN for the CD's term sheet and other important product details and disclosures. Once again, that's everbank.com/TFNN. This advertisement is sponsored content. Everbank is a member FDIC.
John Logan has just announced that he is hosting a workshop Wednesday, April 20th for all TAS Profile Scanner Plus subscribers, opportunities in the current market, and strategies to profit. In this hour-long workshop, John Logan will use the TAS Profile Scanner Plus to give you a current breakdown of the sectors in the market and the opportunities that are present, as well as providing subscribers with the best strategies to trade with to profit when using this powerful piece of market scanning software. Right now, you can sign up for the TAS Profile Scanner Plus at the front page of TFNN.com. The TAS Profile Scanner Plus is such an amazing piece of software that we're even offering a no-questions-asked money-back guarantee for all new paying subscribers. Don't delay, as John Logan's subscriber event is coming up soon. Sign up now for the TAS Profile Scanner Plus and be up and running within minutes using this powerful piece of market scanning software. With a 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose. Sign up today.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
We had financials reporting this morning. We've got a little bit of action on these. Bank of America, I'm going to say, I wouldn't say disappointing, but I would say that I'm a little surprised that it is higher today. I have a feeling that a lot of people shorted this morning only to see the stock pushed up into expiration. 1428 was the high volume at about 140 million so far. And I don't know what else you can say about it. I dislike, of course, a high volume low that is untested. That goes back to February 11th with 370 million shares. And eventually this thing is going to work its way back to that 1099. So you have to watch that. Of other stocks of interest, and I got to take a drink here, is Wells Fargo. Wanted to see how it did after its little bounce yesterday. I'm going to say just about the same. Still decent volume. And, of course, yesterday we had a nice little gap up on 26 million shares into the gap down. Right, in fact, right at the gap down that happened on the 24th of March. That gap down had 20.1 million shares, or let's call it 21 million shares. So yesterday's volume up to that level was fairly decent, 26 million shares. Today, 22 million shares. So you probably kind of come along and do fairly well on this. This also has another fairly decent high volume low. So all these financials do have a fairly decent element of risk down here on this February 11th low at 44.50 on Wells Fargo. What else do we have? Bank of America. BlackRock also out with earnings this morning. And I think we saw Mr. Fink. I don't know. My name is Fink. I wonder if I would have changed it somewhere along the way. Just wonder. Or would you just stuck with it? Maybe you gotten beat up enough in school that it just doesn't matter anymore. Adults not going to near pound on you, calling you a rat fink and everything. Anyway, I'm just a thought. December 29th is the last major high we're into right now. That had 480,000 shares. 580,000 shares already today. Your next move back up would be the November 30th high at 364.87. That had 870,000 shares. So, you know, today's not going to be a real bad day. Yesterday, 960, 588. So a lot of volume yesterday, a little less volume today. We are breaking the last December 29th high. I don't know if that's saying a lot, but certainly looks to me like 364.87 would be the next level this thing would want to go and test. Energy was a little lighter on the way back up, but not that bad. Let's see, what else do we have out here? A few other things. Let me check that. Dollar index, we did get up to 95.20 on the cash today. It did pull back off of that, back to 94.88. So we're still in the 94 handles on the dollar index, at least in the cash. It's up 13 cents still. But I'm still, this is one of the questions in the email. Am I still on the theory that this is the control rods for the market? That the Fed, between the Fed and the Treasury right now, the only thing that truly seems to have any kind of ability to slow the market down is the dollar. And, with the amount of cash that the Treasury has been throwing at that thing to keep the price from going through that 98 level, my guess is that every time we have too good of a day, the Treasury is going to sit back and we're going to watch that dollar move just a little bit higher. Maybe they'll accept a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 point move on the S&Ps, but maybe 20 or 40 in 2 days is too much for them, and they will drop those control rods, and just like a nuclear reactor, the market will again start sliding off. Like Charlie Spork was at the National Semi. Okay. And what else do we have? We looked at that. See if there's anything else. Tests. See how some of these stocks are doing today. The XLFs, of course, we've been watching these things. Nice little gap up here. Energy is fairly decent. Now you're getting into this super gappy area. That goes back to, what is that, the 6th of January, and then the gap down before that was on the 31st of December. Those had some fairly decent volume. And, 56 million shares today is not that bad into this gappy area right around the first of the year. So not looking too bad. A lot of stocks on a tear. We'll look at some of those, I think, in the last segment. Wanted to look at some others today. And Barracuda Networks, this one had been slammed, came down on monstrous volume on the 8th of January. This is one of the first at the beginning of the year that really started seeing that there was a lack of love. And in fact, they were all out of love for Barracuda Networks on the 8th of January. Down 8 million shares. And this is where you start really looking at this thing coming back up into this high, but on incredibly light volume. Whether you compare it to the day before it blew apart or the day it blew apart, a lot of these are starting to fill these gaps with very, very light volume over the last few days. Netflix is another one. I wanted to see how it was doing today. It's got a gap that it looks like it's trying to get into. My guess is that it's going to try to get into that tomorrow. That gap happened, gap down a little, and turned into a lot on the 13th of January with about 25 million shares. Again, we're into that candle. Yesterday was 16 million shares. Today on 7.8 million shares. Just looks like a lot of the juice in this market is not that juicy. What else do we have? Let's get into some of the stocks that are actually rolling up fairly high and see what they're doing today, if they can keep moving it. Whirlpool is got a little hammer candle out here, but this is one that doesn't seem even today to want to give up this move higher. When we look at the 9-day on this thing, it got right down to it today and then pulled right back up into its high. Not a lot of volume either so far, at least compared to yesterday's 680,000 shares. Today, 603. We may get a little bit more volume than that, but I don't think that there's a great deal. ABT is another one of these Abbott Laboratories, no sign of this thing breaking through the 9-day. It's up today, but on very, very light volume. Again, there's another one of these things where it looks like these things are going to creep up like Elmer Fudd on the rabbit to these high volume gap down days. And Abbott Laboratories, it's the fourth with 12.2 million shares. Volume yesterday, 4.1, and 2 million shares today as we get into that candle. We'll be back in a minute.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And that's right. We got the Tom O'Brien for the next 2 hours and Andy Heck at 5 wrapping up commodities. Maybe make a little bit of sense of what's going on today and the correlation with the dollar. As I said, it's up about 17 cents right now. No big deal, but certainly at the higher end of this recent range. And we're seeing a little bit of pullback in some of the other stocks, of course, mostly in the GLD, GDX, GDXJ, that kind of stuff. Right now, probably the biggest thing that I'm looking at are options. We've got the VIX trading decidedly under 14. Most of what I do, I like options because it's a way to reduce risk. If you don't end up buying everything that your account will take just because they are cheap, they are a way to reduce risk, not take much, but take more on. many people take much more on than they should, and that is the problem. But you know what? Options are pretty dark cheap. If you're bullish, it is incredibly cheap now to be buying downside protection. And if you're bearish, cheaper than actually going short, where your upside now would be limited. So pretty good. Now, normally I don't get all that, but we've got a caller in 3 minutes. So let's go to Ken in Dallas. How you doing, Ken?
Hi, how are you?
Fantastic.
Good. I've been out of pocket. I've been watching it all day, and then I had a power outage. I've been on the floor, so I missed. You might have already talked about Triple D, and if you have, I apologize for asking again. But I wanted to find out about it now that I got the power back up around here.
What about it? A nice gap up today, lots of volume.
Yeah, what I want to know is, since it's coming back down towards the gap, and if you put it out on the extended minutes pre-market, you can see that it actually opened up at about 1760 something, and the volume. And I was curious, do you think it's going to retrace all the way into the gap, or where do you think the buy point is going to be on this thing?
About $12 at that gap that goes back to the 14th of March.
Now, hold on a second. You think the gap goes all the way back to the 14th of March?
Yep.
So you think this thing's going to retrace all the way back to the 14th?
Yep.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I think you got a lot of movement back down here to this side. The people that were I think this was out of all the stocks that I look at. I think this was on one of the lists that I had last night of the most heavily shorted stocks.
Really?
So yeah, so someone got the last 3 days. Someone's been all over this thing, and I mean between this and CMG, I was looking at these for some plays. I missed CMG too, but when I was looking at these, I thought, you know what, somebody's getting ready to do some expiration tricks, and when we get into the last couple of days like this, it's so easy to do, come out with some news or say something to do it. And I mean, you basically had the same thing on CMG this morning. If you take a look at that, you get some rather dubious news and they run the stock. And you look at the dailies in the last 3 days, they've been shorting the daylights out of both CMG and 3D. And in a light market or one that's quiet, it's very tough to be short.
So you basically think, to summarize, you think this thing's going to come all the way back to the 14th of March?
Yeah, $12 or so.
Wow.
I think you get a pretty good pullback.
You go back to the volume. Thank you.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time.
TFNN has just announced a new Tiger Dollar sale that will run through this coming Monday only. It's tax day on April 18th, and what better time to lock in extra savings on any TFNN good or service with the purchase of Tiger Dollars. From now through April 18th only, we've doubled the bonuses that normally come with any Tiger Dollar purchase. Instead of a 10 to 20% bonus, we've doubled each number, and you can now get a 20, 30, or 40% bonus on whatever you spend. Tiger Dollars never expire and can be used for any TFNN good or service. Once you purchase your Tiger Dollars and receive your 20 to 40% bonus on whatever you spend, you can then apply them to your subscriptions going forward, as well as any course, workshop, or service that we offer at TFNN. Don't forget that tax day falls on April 18th this year, and now is the perfect time to get your Tiger Dollars. For all the details and to get your Tiger Dollar bonus today, visit the front page of TFNN.com now.
You're watching Tiger TV.
So afraid, yeah. the best determine my feelings. Despite of everything that I've been through, the lying, the cheating, the attitudes. Since then I made up my mind. I won't let another guy. Some might think I'm crazy. To all my